Right, Dave. Countdown has ended. We should be good to go. Let's have a little look. Are we live?
Are we live? Are we live?
Do the usual check, shall we?
Any minute now, Lauren will reply saying,
One of the guys
Houston,
will show.
you are alive. Are we alive?
Yes,
Am I
we're
alive?
live.
Nice.
Always get the little pop-up. Right then, yeah. Hey guys, it's Andy and Dave here for another Tuesday tune-in. Yeah, I hope you're having a lovely week. And yeah, do say hello and just let us know who's on. Hey Paul, thanks for your birthday wishes, mate. Yeah, it was a good day. And I zipped down this morning just to get back to do the live. I was thinking about doing this. As always, in an ideal world, I want to be on top of a mountain doing one of these, and I would love to do that. But the signal's rubbish, and it just didn't work out logistically. I was like, I'll come back down this morning, back to the office to obviously do the Tuesday tune-in with Dave. But yeah, I hope all is well. I know it's a bit mad at the moment. Wales coming out of a little bit of a lockdown, England going into it, Scotland, Northern Ireland. It's a bit nuts at the moment, but fingers crossed. I mean, there was some good news yesterday, wasn't it? And I think it's important to say that, you know, we obviously saw the news around vaccines and stuff like that, and it's you know, you got to temper that with a little bit of, you know, there's a little bit of pessimism there, but I am optimistic, and you know, we can't wait to get back. So fingers crossed, guys, we can give us some needles really get out there.
Optimistic pessimism there, and
hey, I'm not normally like that, but normally I'm like, just give me it, but you know, when it's safe to do so. But yeah, I just wanted to say, look, I can't wait to get back out, because yesterday was my first trek in like ages, and yeah, it was fantastic. But look, great to be back today. Dave, you come up with this one. You wanted to talk about, I know you've had a few questions, haven't you, around food and things on the trek?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, you know. Like it usually happens on quite a lot of the lives as well. People ask about what the food is like and stuff like that, and it's something we tend to gloss over. And I think it definitely is taken for granted by a lot of people, probably myself included. You know, but actually, it's a really important part of acclimatizing, keeping your energy right, and also like, you know, managing whether you're a veggie, whether you're a vegan, whether you have any sort of intolerances or anything like that. And you know, and a lot of people need to know, because obviously, you know, if the diet's all wrong and the food's all wrong, it's gonna, you know, it can sink the ship. So yeah, we wanted to talk a little bit about what food's available on, say, Everest Base Camp, what food's available on Kili, why they're different, what sort of things can we accommodate. So if you're a veggie, vegan, lactose, gluten intolerant, all of that, can that be accommodated? Can you still go on a trip and, you know, acclimatize and be safe and stuff like that? So yeah, that's what we're here to talk about today. And then inevitably, we're going to talk about boots, sleeping bags, trekking poles, COVID.
These questions come in, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great stuff. No, yeah, cheers, and thanks everyone. There's a few birthday wishes coming in, and great to see Brian, Gavin, Chris, Ellen, Ramona, as always, Charlie from Valencia, fantastic. Yeah, slightly jealous. I do love Spain, and although I've never been to Valencia, but yeah, great to see. I know we've got some people from Australia, and you know, all over, which is great and fantastic. But yeah, great to see some good numbers on here.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the Great Bald Yeti is on. It's been a while, John.
Yeah, the seafood diet. To be honest, though, the only thing he saw was Dalbat. To be fair, yeah, he's the one that
brilliant.
John,
I love that.
We went trekking with John, and he decided that so he's going to have breakfast, and then the remaining 2 meals of the day he was going to have Dalbat for the entire trek. So that's 11 days trekking. That's 22 Dalbats. But I think he topped out at around 12 to 13 Dalbats before he broke and had some pasta or something. Because,
well, that was the day, wasn't it? It was the best Dalbat we've ever had, right?
Best Dalbat we've ever had.
Yeah,
we don't normally stop at this one place, but the group was kind of hungry, so we thought, well, we'll just stop here. We walk into this lovely local little place. You know, they were picking the vegetables out the garden to put in the pot that they were going to feed us. Right, homemade chutney. It was amazing. I've been back there since, but they were closed. Devastated.
Yeah, no, we can't wait. Can't wait to get back out there and have some Dalbat. I'm really missing it. And yeah, I suppose let's start with Nepal. You know, while we're here in terms of food. So Dave, Dalbat, that's kind of the local stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. So sort of like the national dish of Nepal is Dalbat. So Dalbat over there is served pretty much in every single food establishment. It's definitely served in every lodge. It's really good if you're vegan or vegetarian. Vegan, I'm going to have to put a little asterisk there. I believe it's vegan because it's rice, some curried vegetables, and it's a lentil dal. So it is just all vegetables and rice and stuff like that. I would, and it's made in one huge big pot. So if you are hungry, definitely order dalbat, because once you've had your meal, they'll come around and they'll offer you seconds and sometimes thirds and stuff like that. So we all get through a ton of dalbat, and it's, in my mind, it's already proven its worth, because all the guides, all the porters, all they eat is dalbat. Dalbat power, 24 hour. So
no sleep, no shower.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah, no sleep, no shower. So yeah, and so honestly, when you go there, wait. So yeah, try the dalbat with
those lights again,
by the way. Yeah. So yeah, I think dalbat is brilliant. Momos are really good as well. Yeah. Momos are like, if you've ever had gyozas from Wagamama's, they're quite similar to those little stuffed dumplings and stuff like that. They're really nice. Probably, Ando, you know what, I'm going to go on what my favorite meal that I probably had the most on the last trip.
Okay.
Sherpa stew.
Yeah, you know what? I think loads of people do. I think it's between Sherpa stew, which is made out of it's bits of everything. You've got pasta, potatoes, it's carb heavy, great for trekking. And then you've got the garlic soup.
Yeah.
Garlic soup is brilliant. And the guides will tell you this, if you're over in Nepal, the garlic does help with altitude. I don't know if it's scientifically proven, but if it helps, it helps, right? Even if it helps just the mind that you're having garlic soup, it could do. I remember, Dave, you told me, was it your mate Billy who went on the first trip in 2016?
Yeah,
and he could only eat garlic soup, right? It was like the only thing he had.
Well, towards the end of it, he only ate like Mars bars half at a time. That's one thing we should say about altitude is a really, really common side effect is a loss of appetite. Yeah, I know, Andy, you've suffered with a loss of appetite.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, honestly, one of the only things I've ever happened, because I've been lucky, touch wood, but appetite's one of the things that does hit me, especially above like 4,500 meters, and you gotta battle through that. Yeah, sometimes you gotta force stuff down because you need that energy, and that's not easy, But
it's why I always sit next to you at the dinner table.
What's that?
I always sit next to Andy at the dinner table because I'm quite lucky. I've never suffered a loss of appetite. But Andy will like get halfway through his momos and then be like, "Momo, Dave," So I'm always there to hoover them up.
Momos are good.
Momos exactly. So yeah, so they're really good. I lost my train. Where was I starting? How did I start on this one?
You were talking about garlic soup and
garlic soup. Yeah, and Billy. Yeah, so Billy. Oh, Billy boy. So yeah, Billy was he accompanied me on my first ever trip to Everest Base Camp. We did it together. He really we were sort of two sides of the altitude problem. I had like a couple of headaches, but that was it. He had loss of appetite, no sleep and stuff like that. With the experience that we've now got, we would have put him on Diamox much earlier.
Yeah, 100%.
And because as soon as he got on Diamox, it enabled him to get over the line and get to base camp and back. But without it, questionable. And if he'd had it earlier on, it would have been much easier. But yeah, one of the porters saw that he was like a bit struggling and brought into our room about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic and told him to put it in his pocket in his jacket next to his heart.
Brilliant.
And so for the entire trip, Billy smelt quite strongly of garlic.
Well, as Dave says, Dave Rimington, not a single vampire. I bet it kept the vampires away then.
It kept everything away. It kept everything away. To be honest, like I suppose it's handy, when you go into a toilet at Gorek Shep to have something like garlic to be able to smell. But yeah, no. So I don't know about the science behind it, but all I can tell you is a lovely warm garlic soup makes you feel a lot better, and if you feel a lot better, you'll perform a lot better. So yeah, garlic soup is like an old traditional remedy for handling life at altitude. So yeah, you'll have it quite a lot. It's almost, I'll order it pretty much as an extra with most meals that I have.
Yeah, it's definitely helps. And we tend to have it sometimes and then have your main. We have it as a starter sometimes. It depends, but I think whatever you eat, it's important that you definitely need the fuel. Yeah. If you don't, you could bonk. You could hit a wall, and you need that energy to continue. But other than that, then it's okay. So we've got the local stuff there, but also as well, I mean, most people are surprised that when you do get, say, on the Everest Base Camp trek, or whether you're climbing Island Peak, Mera Peak, so I'm talking about anywhere in Nepal here, it's quite similar wherever you go. As you can imagine, when you're on, say, a high camp, whether it be on Mera Peak or Island Peak, You know, it has its limitations because of the geography, because of where you are.
Yeah.
But when you're in the villages, you know, there are things like pasta, pizza, chips. You know, we do say stay away from the meat,
Yeah.
just because it's not sort of refrigerated up there. So you know, it's a bit of a lottery. So you know, we say right, minimize the risk. Don't eat the meat. You know, obviously when you're on your way down, you know, it's up to you. But yeah, there's loads of options there, and it's one thing we do as well, is have like an open menu. So for instance, when you get to you know, when you reach the end of the day and you sit down and you put your bags in the room and you go down, you have a nice cup of tea or coffee, you know, whatever you want, you know, hot orange juice if you want, and then you can choose your food for that evening. So normally the guide will come to you, give you sort of a menu, and then they'll get your order then for later that evening. So they'll say, okay, we're gonna have dinner at say 6:30 today, guys. You know, what would you like to eat? And then they note it down. So then you can go off, chill out for a couple of hours, then come back for dinner. That's normally how that kind of works, if you like.
Yeah. Awesome. I just noticed Jishu said, hope you guys are cool. We're always cool, my friend. So we say food is inclusive. So if it's Dalbat Power 24-hour, what variety is there, especially on a 15-20 day tour? Do we have a choice of opting for not having food on the trips, and we choose ourselves, and perhaps the trip cost goes there? Okay, so when I say Dalbat Power 24-hour, what I mean by that is that's not all you're going to eat for 24 hours. They say Dalbat is all you need to power your body for 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's a saying, you'll see it on t-shirts and everything like that. The meals are inclusive, so when you're on the trip, so all your meals, hot drinks with the meals, and all your purified safe drinking water is all provided for you. But the menu is varied, so it's pretty much the same menu in every place, although it does change a little bit. But the menu in itself is quite varied, so there's normally about 2 pages of food you can choose from. So yeah, you can have what you want. No, our meals are included, so yeah, you can choose what you want, you know, from whatever. So sometimes if I fancy something different, I'll just order fries and bread, and I'll have chip butties with ketchup and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A little something from, you know, I know, potato rosties or spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah.
I tend to stay away from
eggs.
Yeah, loads of eggs, fried rice. So you know, you can just wolf down some vegetable or egg fried rice and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's a very big menu, isn't it? I was surprised when I was out there, because you know, it's always the unknown, and you know, we hope this helps a little bit. And yeah, just you know, here's a good question. Just you asked, you know, what ones if I don't like that, or if you've got some intolerances, there are other options there.
Yeah.
But you know, you also have to be realized of where you are, and sometimes things are low. You know, like it is in sometimes there's a limitation on the ingredients they have there, so they say, okay, this isn't on the menu. You know, it's like you go to a normal place sometimes and they haven't got certain things. It can be like that because of where you are, but most of the time it's all there, and you can have an option. You have what you want. I mean, we have looked at before. I mean, I suppose ever since the beginning, we've always included all our food. Just makes it a bit easier.
Yeah.
Whereas some people have said, oh, what happens if I just, you know, if your trips were cheaper and we get to just buy our food? Well, yeah, I mean, I know there's options like that out there, but we always find it's a bit easier just to have it all in, and you can just, you know, fuel up.
I mean, overall, we've seen those trips as well. And so every decision we've made about our trips and how they look and how they run has been a sort of deliberate decision based on our own experiences. Now, one thing that when you say food's not included, and they call it just your guide and your porter and accommodation, so all your meals and everything is extra. One, you do have to bring a lot more cash with you on the mountain. So if that gets misplaced or something like that, it's a bit of a ball ache. Secondly, when you're at Gorek Shep or Le Boucher and you've just come back and you're a bit tired, the last thing you want to be doing is faffing around with the bill, you know, like, and remembering what you've ordered and what they've ordered. And so, no, what we do is it's all included. If you want extras, Dalbat's a good thing because the extras are free. So they basically just come up to you and just give you loads of extra Dalbat because they have such a surplus. If you order anything else, like say Sherpa stew, and you wanted another bowl, ordinarily you have to pay for the extra. But yeah, so if you are hungry and you feel like you're going to want seconds or thirds, Dalbat Power is the way to go. So yeah, hopefully we've covered, just to summarize as well, gluten intolerance. We've taken people on there and that's been fine. We just need to know in advance. Your guide needs to know so he can talk to the kitchen and make sure that it's all provided. The same goes for like vegan and veggie, particularly if you're concerned not only with not eating the stuff but also cross-contamination. I know some veggies don't mind they just don't want to eat it, but they don't mind if someone's prepped them both, but other people are really strict and don't want any cross contamination. As long as we know that and the guide can talk to the kitchen, then that's all we need. So yeah, but then also things are a little different on, say, Kilimanjaro end, right?
Yeah.
So the menu, so to speak, is
yeah. It's yeah. That was one thing that surprised me was, obviously used to being veggie on in Nepal, but on Kilimanjaro it's pretty much as you get in a normal restaurant. There's meat. I mean, we had pasta bolognese the one night. We had chicken.
Yeah.
I think we had pizza. We do have some rice and curry and things like that. It's a very open menu, but again, obviously we cater for all the all different diets.
Yeah.
But it is a lot more westernized, if you like, I would say, compared to Nepal.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because they've been at it longer in terms of the tourism side, but they just seem there's just a lot more of a broader menu, I would say. So yeah, you certainly won't go hungry on Kili.
No, but
that side, of course.
Yeah, but you are allowed to eat meat on Kili because of the way that they cook it. They have power pretty much all the way up the mountain. They bring gas and things like that, and they're able to bring like cool boxes and just carry them and stuff. So it all kind of works out really well. So you can eat meat if that's what you want to do. And yeah, it is quite varied. Like breakfast is great as well. So but on Kili, you don't so much get a menu to read from. What will happen is the cook will make something. We'll know in advance if there's any particular thing you can't eat, and what will happen is then they'll cook a meal around that for you. But we don't choose from a menu. They just bring out a huge big selection of food. Yeah. So it can be like chicken and chips and all stuff like that, and pizza. And then in the mornings you have pancakes, little sausages, and always porridge. They did bring out their banana porridge.
It didn't exactly. Yeah, it wasn't the most popular thing on the menu.
No, it wasn't the most popular thing. And the next day we had like what you're used to, Scottish oats porridge, and that made the difference. Everyone loved that. But yeah, you always get things like I just saw Sean Laird comment there, popcorn. You always get popcorn and little
good old stuff like popcorn.
That. Honestly, I never had any problem. Again, so you have to do the Team America secret signal. Yeah, I've never once gone hungry. Like you just don't. Like if anything, there's more food than you can eat. Yeah. But it is a nice little surprise. I mean, I'm pretty much trying to like aim towards eating a lot less meat and stuff like that. Yeah. But when I was on Kilimanjaro, it felt good to have the chicken and have that protein and stuff like that. It just does feel like it energizes you. Yeah, very, very well.
No, you've got to get it down you. Yes, Paul, I do eat pizza. It's probably a bit too much pizza. Let's put it that. But I didn't have pizza yesterday. Yeah, no, it's a good point, Dave. And I think that the big thing you said there as well is that like it's not an open menu, is it? It's kind of brought. Obviously, if you've got any intolerances, they'll cater for that. But generally, for the main core of the group, they kind of bring out all the things, like say for one day it'll be say pizza, so they'll bring out maybe a vegetable pizza or chicken pizza, whatever it is, as well as like chips and things. So then that's for everyone. Obviously, people then who have the other stuff, they'll bring that as well. That's kind of the main difference, I suppose, between Nepal and Kili. And I know we're focusing on Nepal and Tanzania here because obviously I know we got Peru as well, and Tubkal. I mean, Tubkal especially, the food out there is very. If anyone here has been to Morocco, it's beautiful food. I mean, a lot of tagines, a lot of vegetable chicken cooked in tagines. Even on the mountain, when you're in the Atlas Mountains, the food's fantastic. I've got to be honest. Very surprised the quality of it.
Yeah.
But yes, I definitely want to learn how they cook because it's the spices. It's just great.
Awesome.
With Peru, it's very South American, but it's a bit more rice. Again, it's quite westernized. So you do get access to all the usual stuff. You can get. Chips, porridge, especially for breakfast. You've got the usual eggs and things like that. In South America, we definitely. I mean, it's interesting because I'm going through some of the comments, and I know people who've been on our trips in say Nepal, and I know Sinead. She's got a fantastic blog that she wrote for us. It seems like a while ago now, but definitely, I know the guys are working on putting it on the website, and I know that's very good. In terms of advice about some intolerances. So Diane, I think you've commented on here, and a few other people as well. Just hold on for that because it's got a really insightful article. So it'd be great to we'll share that obviously on on the social channels.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a little read of that, because Sinead's got a lot of good advice, and obviously how she dealt with that on the Everest Base Camp trek.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, we got I mean, there's a lot of, obviously got the ones from the emails. Let's pick those up, Dave, because there's quite a few.
Yeah, sure. So
let's have a little look.
Andrew Blakeman.
Yes.
He's not sure if he can make the live today, so sorry about that, Andrew. But I'm sure you can listen to this. So he's asked. He squeezed 2 in. Yeah, so he's gone for a little doubler. First question: contact lenses at altitude, Kili or EBC. How does the height and cold affect them? Would glasses be a sensible option as we go higher? Do you know what? That's an interesting question. And the answer is one that kind of eludes me, because I've never gone there with contact lenses. I am going to say that I don't imagine there would be much difference, because although it can be very cold and stuff like that, you know, I don't think that it's ever going to be an issue of like freezing them. I am very confident that one of the people in this group now are going to give me the answer with regards to contact lenses. And any insight?
Yeah, I've trekked a couple of people who had them, and yeah, it doesn't really make a difference. Just got to be careful of the dust, because especially if you're going in the autumn, it can be quite dusty, you know, especially sort of late October into November. It can be dusty on the trails, so we always say wear a buff. But so you got to keep the dust. But as long as you've got some of the solution, so you can clean the lenses, and that's just make sure you have plenty of the solution there. Lots of people did choose to wear glasses instead. We had a couple of people who used both. I'm going back a couple of years now, but yeah, so just be sort of conscious of that. Whether there's a preference, I mean, none of them had issues with the issues freezing. I think, James, Lord James. I love it when we get Lord James on here. He went to Island Peak with us. Believe it was last year, wasn't it? It seems like such a long time ago.
I think it was April, wasn't it? I think it was
April. It's gone so fast because this year's been crazy. But he did use contact lenses. So it was great. Yeah, it's great to hear that. Cheers, James.
Awesome.
It's nice to provide some insight.
Awesome.
No pun intended. That's all right. Right. The second question, read recently, I shouldn't store my down jacket in its stuff sack. Rather, it should be stored hanging, as you would any other coat. Does the same apply for sleeping bags then, and why? That was from Andrew again. It's a personal choice, really. At home I kind of store my down jackets hanging up, just because for longevity. But when I'm on a trek and things like that, to be honest, it goes in the bag and it's stuffed in the bag. I think it is better for the jacket, if you want it to last a long time, to let it hang instead of just storing it in its stuff sack. So yeah, something to be conscious of. Sleeping bags, I suppose it doesn't matter with the sleeping bag getting creased, because the thing is, when you've got your down jacket over time, if it's scrunched up, it doesn't look that good. It takes a while then for those creases to go out. With your sleeping bag, it doesn't matter. You're not wearing it for style. It's just to keep warm. So for me, with sleeping bags, it doesn't matter. I always store my sleeping bags personally in its stuff sack, if you like.
That's it. Yeah.
Again, you'll just get some air.
That's it. Yeah. The only time it lives out the bag really is when you come back. I might leave it out for a couple of days or whatever, just to air it and stuff like that, like unzip it, air it.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, it's too big to have hanging around in my wardrobe, so it lives naturally. It just lives in the stuff sack. Interesting. Shane has said, what happens if the flight to Lukla is cancelled? So flight to Lukla is always an interesting one. Get it asked a lot. So if the flights, now put it this way, I've been to EBC now 4 times. Every single time I've made it back. I've made it to Lukla and back on the day that I was supposed to. That being said, most delays are in terms of like hours, not days. So you might get fog that comes in, means we can't land. Then the fog goes away, and then you can take off and land again. If the flight is actually cancelled, what that means is it's extreme weather conditions, so like driving wind, rain, and stuff like that. And essentially, what we aim to do then is get you on the next flight. Hopefully, that might be later on in the afternoon, or it might be the following morning. Now, in order to account for that, what we recommend, but it's certainly not compulsory, is having an extra day or 2 at the end of the trip as buffer days. What that means is that if it does get delayed and you go the next day, you're not really up against it time-wise for your international flight back home. You can just catch the next flight. If you don't have that situation, so we end up in a real bad situation where you don't have the time, the flight's been cancelled. I don't even know if we've ever had a situation like that maybe one time I think where we started early September, but the monsoon was delayed due to climate
Yeah, that
change.
caused a lot of issues, didn't it? It was
Yeah.
it
So
was
I think
late
that was,
that year.
yeah. So the monsoon arrived 2 weeks late, and
Very bad.
then yeah, and then I think they went to Annapurna actually. So is what happened. So instead of going to EBC, we took
Yeah, they
them to
did. Yeah, they changed, didn't it?
yeah, because you can drive to Pokhara if needs be. So we took them to Annapurna. That's like, worst case scenario. I
Yeah,
should
and
say that.
Dave, it's worth pointing out, isn't it? I mean, it's that was like the very first time because of of all the hundreds of people that come with us. We've never really cancelled that sort of trip.
Yeah,
It was a very rare occasion because it was early in the season. Generally, flights do, especially to local flights, do run on time, and we don't. Like previously, we've used another airport called Ramachap.
yeah,
That was when there was historically when there was some developments going on in Kathmandu Airport. But yeah, it's just when it comes to the flights, it's very rare they get cancelled. If they do get delayed,
yeah,
but again, it is part of where you are because Lukla, where you start the trek, is there's not a road there, so you can only fly there. We are really governed by the weather because obviously
yeah,
safety is number one. But we always manage it in terms of a way like Dave. I know you're always on it, speaking to the guys, and especially Anuj, who's our operations manager in the pool, in terms of working around and problem solving. So we make sure we get you on a trek. I mean, we've taken helicopters up there before.
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
It's been crazy weather, but we always get around it.
yeah, we'll pull out all the stops to get you there. But how I've always kind of said it to people is that, like Andy said, it's so rare. I can barely remember one occasion that has happened in all the trips that we've run, and we've run thousands. However, I will say that if the flight is cancelled, you don't want to be flying to Lukla.
Exactly.
Like trust me, I know most people are like kind of crazy and they're like, I don't care, I'll get on there. But trust me, when you get on that little tin pigeon and you're up there in the air being buffeted around, trust me, there's a reason. It's not in anyone's interest for those flights not to go ahead. So if they don't allow them, it's for a good reason. And if you Google Lukla Airport, it won't take you too many searches to figure out why. Yeah.
Nice. Claire Barnett's asked, just going through the emails again. It's always great. We always get heaps of emails coming in. What snacks would you advise we bring? I am concerned about not creating too much rubbish. That's great. Stop thinking about packaging and throwing that away. Yeah, so we always dispose of the rubbish anyway, because it does get carried down from the villages you have. So, for instance, if you're in Namche and you have rubbish, then it does get carried down. Obviously, if you can minimise that, fantastic. Because as you know, we're big on reducing the plastic in the Kumbu, especially in Nepal, but on all of our trips. But yeah, if you do want to take stuff, especially like a treat, whether it's beef jerky, or some wine gums, Jaffa cakes, whatever it is, whatever perks you up, then bring it because that can make the difference on that day when you're struggling. So definitely if you in terms of snacks, yeah, bring some nuts and some sweets, and hard-boiled sweets are always good.
Yeah,
because some people always give them to the kids as well. The little Sherpa kids, they always after some sweets.
Yeah.
Although we try and reduce the plastic on there, but if you want to do stuff and you want to bring stuff, that's okay as long as it's disposed of, obviously.
Exactly. The Great Bald Yeti has just raised a good point as well. Just to finish my point, which is,
Yeah.
If you have those extra days and like we expect, everything goes ahead and you're back in time, Kathmandu is an awesome place to have an extra few days at your leisure.
Yeah.
You can go back to some places. Quite often people go back to like Monkey Temple or Budanath. We always go to Budanath, and don't we? The first thing we do, get back in Kathmandu, shower, clean clothes, and then we jump in a taxi and go to Budanath and go and get some coffee and do some souvenir shopping. That's generally where me and Andy sort of unwind on the day we get back. It's probably my favorite place.
It's a lot chilled, isn't it? It depends what you like. I mean, Budanath Stupa is a great place to go if you've not been there before or not heard of it before. It's basically this giant I think it's one of the world's biggest solid structure stupas in the world.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic place to go. It's always got some great cafes, and if you want to get some tanka paintings, or you've probably seen like the singing bowls you can sort of tap, and Tibetan bowls. It's great for if you've got a little bit of a couple of days.
I'll show people
he's getting his artwork out now.
See, this is the tanka painting that I got here. So this is like in the Buddhist religion, the wheel of life and stuff like that. So this is one that I had done I think it's a Masters one. Some
Yeah,
llama painted that one. But yeah, that's normally on the wall behind me. But we've had a bit of a refurb. So yeah, I love the art. I always go and buy those every time I'm there.
They are brilliant, aren't they? Next up is Diane. Diane, great to see you on again. I know what kind of foods will be offer for vegans for EBC, but little about it for Kili, Tupcal, or Peru. So I know you've gone on and talked about you don't want to end up being given the veggies and missing out on the protein. Yeah, you obviously want to find the balance. And I think ultimately we've had other people before who have brought stuff with them just because sometimes if you're only limited with what they've got for vegetarian options or for people who have intolerances, then it's worth bringing your own stuff as well. I know definitely, Diane, people have done that before. And again, I will refer back to Sinead. She has written this lovely blog post that we're going to get out there, and that will have a bit more information about its specifics. Because I know we're talking generally here about the food, saying that we can cater, but I know what you mean. What specifics can I eat? Then we'll get that to you. Because it's important, especially because I know you booked on quite a few trips with us, and it's generally the same on all of them in terms of having specifics for you available. Just so you don't go hungry, because you've got to keep up that protein and the energy as well. You've got to keep that energy up. So it's super important, Diane.
So
a little bit.
Just following on from that as well, the Lozatron 5000 has messaged me.
Okay.
I'm not sure if this is from Lauren herself because I can't see her name on it. Anyway, but basically the question is, can you bring protein shakes with you, say for like Annapurna or EBC, or is the food protein rich to help with recovery? So it's a very good question. Now, personally, the treks are, so because you're being a vegetarian, now you're not going to get protein from any meat or anything like that. But on Kili, yes, you will. You get it from chicken and stuff like that. There are a lot of other things that you can get protein from. Certain vegetables are protein rich as well. However, if you are used to sort of protein shakes and stuff like that, you can bring some with you, but I'd be inclined to sort of measure it out rather than bring the whole bag, because protein bags can weigh a lot, and then just mix it with water. But to be honest, a lot of people just bring things like beef jerky and things like that. If you are a meat eater and you want to get protein rich snack or something like that, beef jerky is really good because it's flat, doesn't weigh anything, you can carry loads and doesn't matter. So yeah, that's something. I have seen people with protein shakes, but it's not common. Most people just sort of combine their recovery with also delving into the local cuisines and stuff like that. So although it is an important factor, it's not going to be so grueling that you're going to need to sort of like be conscious of your recovery. You can just do the trip, eat the food you eat from the restaurants and stuff like that, and then come back and then worry about the recoveries and stuff afterwards.
Yeah, nicely, Dave. Nicely answered, mate. Just going through the other ones as well. I think Gavin, I think Lauren has answered your question, but I'll discuss it as well for everyone else. You mentioned, hi guys, with the price on the website for Everest, what does that include? Do you have to purchase flights? So yeah, we're pretty much as Dave likes to. Dave, I'm going to use what you said. You do everything except post and packaging, isn't it?
Yeah.
You used before, right? But yeah, it is excluding your international flights, but generally all the stuff in country is covered. There's a few bits that we just can't do, like your visas, which you have to sort yourself. Travel insurance, the same. But pretty much everything else is generally covered, tips, things like that. But for a more, exacting list, if you do go on the trip page, so if you go on the website and you search for the trip or drop down the trip, it does give you a rundown of exactly what we include. And you can download the guide as well. And that'll give you a PDF, which has everything, like say what's included, what's not included, just so you can get it right to, okay, right, cool, I've got to do that. And one thing we're kind of big on is that when you do come with us, we don't just like to leave you to it, and we hope these kind of lives help as well. Is that if these other things that you have to do outside of us, we can help you with them. We can point you in the right direction, like with your insurance, with your flights, things like that. We've got the knowledge center, which answers some of the questions around like visas, injections, things like that you need before you go. But yeah, just as a broad spectrum, pretty much everything in country is mainly covered.
Yeah, awesome. Dave, was it? No, sorry, not Dave. No, it is Dave. Dave Brimington. He's asked two questions.
How many Daves are there?
It's me. We're a legion of our own. The missus is northerner. Do they serve gravy?
Wow.
No, never seen gravy. In terms of meat, do the Nepalese offer goat? Brackets recently killed on the menu.
Wow.
So not on the treks, no. So generally speaking, there's nothing on the treks and stuff like that. When you're in Kathmandu, goat curry is certainly going to be on the menu. So you're going to be able to see a lot of that. As to how recent was its demise, I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you. I think there are some places where it's most certainly going to have been relatively fresh. But yeah, no, you get goat curry. Yeah, it's very tasty, very delicious. But it's in Kathmandu, not on the mountains. You won't get it on the mountains, really. We don't recommend any meat curry on the mountains. I always use the story of our old mate Barry, old Bazatron, who we said to him, no alcohol, no meat. Day one, saw him eating a chicken burger and necking a beer. It did look delicious. And he really enjoyed his helicopter ride back from EBC. You know, he was.
He battled on, didn't he? I know we always talk about Barry, but he's a fantastic bloke. If any of you guys ever meet him on a training weekend or on a future trip, but yeah, he'll admit himself. He probably started a bit too early on the meat, but he did really well. He battled on. He made base camp, so fair dues.
He made base camp, and to be fair, he got to base camp when most people would have probably turned around. So lesser men would not have made.
There's a big lesson in that.
I honestly think he made the trip a lot more difficult for himself than it needed to be. But yeah, he did awesome. But yeah, seriously, just don't eat the meat or drink alcohol on the way up. At least if you're going to risk it, I mean, everyone's an adult. If you're going to risk it on the way down, because it's only 3 days down. So you've only got 3 days of seat of your pants hiking, bush to bush, toilet to toilet to get back. But
exactly. Charlie Wright asks about where does the water come from. He said he's had dodge experience on the Inca Trail and on Kili, both water and food. Amazing. So I presume you talked about Nepal there. That generally, in Nepal, it's got all the water you could ever need. And basically, each village has a water source. What we introduced sort of almost 2 years ago now. Time's flying. We now use purified water filters, so all the water that you'll use will be purified. We used to use chlorine tablets, but it was never the best. Plus, to be honest, people got fed up of it and started buying plastic bottles anyway. And obviously that has an impact on the region. So we did introduce purified water filters, which had a huge difference in terms of reduction on plastic, and also the enjoyment. Because you've got to drink a lot of water, you're at altitude.
Yeah,
it needs to taste a little bit nice at least. And the purified water is although let's be honest here, it's not how can I put it? It's not champagne, it's got a little bit of or beer. It's water. It's quite plain, but when you've got to drink it, we want to make it as best as we can.
That comes into one of my top trekking tips, which is you can buy these little Robinson squash squirters, and it's highly concentrated squash. I always bring 2 or 3 of them, not because I need 2 or 3, because I like the variety. And it really, really does help. I remember the third time I went to EBC, I don't know what it was. I was just struggling to drink the water. And then it was Max, a friend of ours, Max, who was sitting there drinking this, summer fruit squash, and he was necking it down.
We were all jealous, huh?
And I was like, can you put a bit of squash in there for me, mate? And ever since then, that's it. It makes it so much easier, because I'm drinking 4 to 5 liters of water a day. You're like a basking shark. and having the squash and stuff. I even put it in my bladder. I don't really care if it tastes a little bit plasticky. With some lovely lemon squash is a lot better than a little bit plasticky with nothing else. So that makes a big difference. The squash tablets.
Nice. Just going through all the questions then, guys. So Paul Ridley, I'll try and find a few of these. Excuse me. Just I know there's time's cracking on now, but you mentioned any COVID quarantine restrictions before, after EBC. So Paul, at the moment that is the case, although we're not running trips at the moment. That's sort of in 2020. In the spring is when we're next going to be running trips, and we're hoping by that time then that won't be the case. So fingers crossed for that. But certainly if you booked on a trip with us, we'll update you before you go. And obviously if there's any issues around that, then we can say, look, this is what you'll have to do when you're in Nepal, because or when you're coming back. All we can do at the moment is rely on sort of the FCO advice and the advice from Nepal. Unfortunately, because Nepal being the type of country it is, it does change all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get up-to-date information. So as soon as we do know that, and if you're booked on a trip, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
100%. Jerome, flight to Lukla, you shall have some excess luggage. Can I pay for this? Yes, you can. It's generally that there's a rule of thumb that you want to stick to about 15 kgs, but some people do take extra stuff, and it's roughly about £1 a kilo. So it's quite affordable, quite cheap. But just beware that sometimes, and very rare, we've known that. Don't think we've had main issues with us. I think once we had it. I think it was actually mine when I had some camera gear, and it got taken off the plane because it was too heavy, and then it had to arrive after you. So I mean, one of the porters, caught up with us, but just be aware of that. So just try and be a bit frugal with regards to your packing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I always think that 15 kilos is what they're going to weigh. They don't weigh you, So one a little top tip is some people wear these like jackets, they're like either fishing jackets or something. Photographers wear them a lot with all the pockets and stuff.
Yeah.
They won't weigh that or anything like that. So people do get a buy, but yeah, it is always, if you go in heavy, that's fine. You can pay for it. But if a lot of people have gone heavy, some bags aren't going on the plane. So, just be careful. They will end up with you. They'll just be they'll be playing catch up on a plane or a plane behind or something like that. But yeah, always best put it on you. But yeah, exactly what Andy said.
Yeah.
Looking at this, I can see Jishu again. Nice one, Jishu. Can you give me an insight into terms of the group demographics, nationalities, ages, etc.? This one's always a little tricky. So the majority of the people that we get tend to be from the UK. However, we do get a significant number of people from elsewhere. So in the United States, we have quite a few Americans going with us. We've had some Australians, Eastern Europeans, Indians, stuff like that. So we get, we're open to anybody joining our trips. I would say, to be honest, it's almost like 50-50, whichever way you look at it, between men and women, people that know each other and single travelers, people from the UK and then other destinations and stuff like that. So whichever way you look at it, it's pretty much 50-50. You're going to get a diverse group of people anyway, just based on personalities alone. Yeah, we do have ages. To be honest, it's crazy. We've had 18 to 74, I think, 72.
Yeah, 74.
So I would probably say most people are sort of in their sort of mid-20s to mid-40s. That's probably like where you're going to catch most of the people. But, like you said, variety is the spice of life.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a few more coming in. Let's have a little look. So what time is the usual flight back to Kathmandu? That was from Parisha. So it generally it's early morning because historically with Lukla, the weather kind of comes in. If there's going to be any weather at all, usually it's late morning into lunch and the afternoon, and then suddenly it clears up. But most of the time, early mornings, it's fine. So you're talking 6:30, 7 o'clock back to Kathmandu. It's an early one, but that can always move. Sometimes we've flown as late as 1 p.m. just because it's been busy, or again, there's a bit of weather and waiting for the weather to clear. So you're really beholden to the weather and actually on the day what it's like. But generally, we do book the first flight out if we can. We always book way ahead. The guys we use and Anuj, they do get access to the early flights, which is great. But as always, we have to manage it on the ground, and that can change with weather. But generally earlier, so it gives you a bit more time to enjoy Kathmandu in the afternoon then.
Yeah, exactly. Suzette Teal, she said, "Hi fellas, is the food on the Killy Trek spicy?" She's a sassy girl, not a spicy one.
Very good.
Yeah, so like magic. Don't know how I did that.
Wow, you got someone else in the room.
Yeah, it's almost like I've got a bimblin. Yeah, you say hello, Fee. So yeah, that's my light assistant now. But yeah, no, yeah, it's not spicy, not at all. Yeah, we generally, spice. Although variety is the spice of life, spice is not the spice of life. Not on a trip anyway. It's the last thing you want is, what we used to call it the Nepalese napalm.
That's all about the toilets, Dave. I think we need to do a live on toilets.
Yeah, or the Tanzanian terror. I think was another one we
had. Some more good questions. I think was it Ramona that asked there about the Annapurna Trek? I hear there could be a flight option. instead of bus. Yeah, you're right, because we mainly do it via the bus, but we've been looking at it, potentially on some future trips to look at adding the flights. Again, it's the logistics and work it out. I think, Dave, you've had a chat with Anuj around it.
Yeah.
Something we're potentially doing in the future, right?
Yeah, we're definitely looking at. To be honest, some of them already go on flights as well. The reason why we chose initially to do it, but go by the road option, is because it's quite a nice drive and it forms part of like the first day of your trip. So going to Pokhara, you get to stop off. I can't remember the name of the place, Anne, but we stopped there. It's that really high village, the one when. Yeah, that's it. Back to Pur. Yeah,
beautiful place.
Yeah, so we stop there, and you get to see a little bit of Nepal as you drive through. It is quite a long drive, but it's quite enjoyable. I think, we wanted to include it. It's not like the drive to Ramachap that I know a few of you have done, which is, don't get me wrong, every drive in Nepal is a little bit bumpy, but Ramachap, because it's not, Kathmandu to Pokhara is like, it's as close as they have to like a motorway, so it's Nepal. Where Ramachap is like this tiny little place in the middle of nowhere, so it's not a route that is used a lot. But no, we are thinking of doing the flight just for speed of things and things like that. So we'll keep you updated on it. I think it is probably likely going to happen.
No, yeah, always, we're looking at the best. I mean, it's again, the problem is we're doing flights all the time. It's just the weather thing again. If it's bad weather, we'll have to do the bus route. Whereas obviously the bus can go anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll definitely update you. It's a good question though, Ramona.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well. I know when me and Andy went to Pokhara, we flew to Pokhara and then had to drive back because the flights were cancelled due to weather. So it is one of those things where just by choosing to drive takes the stress of the flight away, takes the early morning trip to the airport away, and we kind of manage our own time. But yeah, we are going to be looking to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So having a look at this. So Paul Meacher.
Yeah.
Flight time to Kathmandu. If it's early, can you get into the hotel at Kathmandu? So I'm assuming this is your international flight arriving into Kathmandu. Yes. So we recommend people get there as early as possible. To be honest, the majority of flights, I think the earliest flights we've had to pick people up were about 6 a.m. or something like that.
We've had some super early ones. I think Paul's feeling about coming back from Lukla.
Oh, if you're coming back from Lukla, you're like... Either way, I guess the answer is the same. Yeah, the hotel will be accessed. The longest we've had is like checking into a normal hotel where when you arrive, they might say, sit down, have a cup of tea, get you some drinks and stuff like that, just while they prepare the room. And I think the longest I had to wait for that was about 40 minutes. But generally speaking, on every other time, you'll just be given your room key and they'll be done in preparation for you. So yeah, that should be fine.
Yeah, it's a bit different, isn't it? Because I know in the UK and most hotels, westernized hotels at least, there is certainly you can't check in to say 2 p.m. but it is very different in Nepal because of the the way that the trekking industry runs. So yeah, when you arrive, as long as they're getting the room ready, it doesn't take them hours.
Oh yeah,
it's usually really good and really quick on that, and so yeah, you won't be waiting that long.
So Loza has confirmed to me that it's the 6:30 flight from Lukla. So yes, I mean we get to the airport around 6:30. Yeah. So we probably don't fly off maybe 7:30. Maybe arrive back in Kathmandu for around 8-ish. So then it's like 45-minute drive to the hotel. So don't worry. Whatever time you arrive there, you'll be in the hotel. You won't have to sort of wait around for hours. That's never going to happen.
Great stuff. With Jishu's asked as well around 15-20 day tour, minimize on weight of bags. Are there washing facilities for clothes? Getting on the hands and knees to scrub. Yeah, Jishu, it's one of those. Especially I believe you're talking about Nepal here. Is that sometimes there are no showers, and there's certainly with regards to washing, it can be quite challenging. So sometimes it's part of the adventure, it's part of the challenge, is that you'll go days and days without having the opportunity to wash. I'm afraid we always say take if you can take some wet wipes. There's some environmentally friendly wet wipes now that you can get, but yeah, there might be an opportunity, say maybe a 15 to 20 day trip. You're looking at maybe every few days there's potential to have showers. Depends on the weather, because they are solar powered. Most of the showers, most of the water is solar heated. So if it has been cloudy for a few days, then you're not going to have it available. And we always say, look, you can have a cold shower, which is good, but sometimes there's a risk of you want to keep that core temperature. So if you can, stay dirty, minimize the chance of getting a dodgy chest or a cold or something like that, because if that hits your altitude, you'd prefer to be dirty, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I've
never washed my clothes on the trip, never. It's largely pointless because the next day you'll be just as dirty at the end of the day. You know, like trying to wash your clothes on on a trek is particularly Kilimanjaro, it's impossible. But on with Nepal, you're just fighting a losing battle if you try and keep yourself that clean. You know, you're in the mountains, you're trekking, it's an adventure. Embrace the dirt, and then when you come back to Kathmandu, there's loads of laundries. The hotel can do it for you. So yeah, but the one thing I do always do, because I didn't do it on the first trip that I went on, was I've always got guaranteed like clean boxes, clean socks, clean t-shirt, clean trousers waiting back at the hotel for me.
Yeah.
So it just makes a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. And I think James makes a good point. There are some places where they do, because we've got quite nice places we stay. Sometimes if it's it's available, you can buy extra showers. If they're available, there are places. I think Ramona mentioned as well, because I have seen in Namche you can get, so Namche Bazaar, if you're on the Everest Base Camp route, that's kind of 2 days into your trip, and you stay there for a couple of days, and then you also stay a night on the way back. And there is a place there. I've never used it, to be honest, because by the time you get there, you've only been 2 days. You don't really need to do it then. On the way back, well, you're only a day away from Kathmandu anyway, so I kind of wait till I get back to Kathmandu. But if you want to do that, you can. I have seen people wash and then they leave their sort of clothes on the back getting dry. But you know what? Knowing the area, it'll take a long time to dry.
Yeah,
especially if it's cold. I just, if you can and you can handle it, definitely stick to wet wipes. And just obviously cleaning yourself that way rather than trying to sort of plan showers into your itinerary, if you like.
Actually, me and Billy, I remember on my first trip to base camp when we got to Dingboche.
Yeah,
it's in a valley, so it's either very cold or very hot. But the sun hit during midday; it was boiling. So I know Billy washed his clothes and then put them out on some stones, and that helped dry them. But as Andy said, I know people that try and become a human clothesline. It is also. Think of the people walking behind you. They don't need to see your pants flapping in the wind.
We've seen some colors and some shapes, that's for sure, in terms of underwear on the trek. But it's always good. But it's certainly, I know what you mean, Dave. It's always a bit interesting, and you think, okay, nice.
Yeah. Oh, Suzanne asked a question. Yeah. Suzanne asked a question. We mentioned the bathrooms when you're on the trek. How do females navigate going to the background?
Yeah, good question.
Really good question. So when you're in the camp and stuff, we provide toilet tents. So there's 3 ways you can go to the toilet. Now, when you're in camp, there are the communal bathrooms, which tend to be long drops. We have our own, so we bring like a chemical toilet. So everything we bring up is brought down, including what we eat and get rid of. And we have a nice little tent as well for privacy. When you're on the trek itself, it's never a huge issue because there's always if you need to go, then you can find a place. There's always like natural cover and things like that. And usually what will happen is you can just tell the guide. The guide will find an area and like stand guard for you, But we had a couple of girls like that needed to go to the toilet. You just find some natural cover and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The only thing I do say, which it is a big grim, but no one expects you to like carry everything that you leave on the floor, but the tissue paper and stuff like that. If you can, stuff it into like a stuff sack, tie that up real tight, and then either dispose of it at camp or bring it back down with you. We try not to leave as stuff like tissue and wet wipes and stuff just out on the ground and stuff like that.
Exactly. Tony asked as well. Sorry, Tony. I believe we had a question earlier. What kind of distance in kilometers is the average daily hike? So it depends on the route. I mean, if you're talking about the classic Everest Base Camp route, you've got the Gokyo Valley route, you've got the 3 Peaks, 3 Passes. But when it comes to Everest Base Camp, if we're talking about Nepal here, some days are longer than others. It's actually not that far in terms of distance. Dave, I think what's the total? Was it 45 miles? Was it 65 kilometers on the way up and the same on the way back?
Something like that, yeah.
Honestly,
it's not that far.
No.
So the reason why, this is why when some people have asked, what's the distance in terms of kilometers and miles, but actually when you're trekking at altitude, it's more helpful to think of it in terms of hours.
Yeah, time.
Because miles are not the same as they are down here. I mean, they are in terms of their length, but walking a mile at sea level is not what it's like to walk a mile at altitude.
Yeah.
It's on average, most people are sort of 15 to 20 minutes a mile at sea level. That could be 3 hours if you're on your way up the summit of Kili, you know. So it's like it's different. So whenever anyone's at altitude and we say, oh, what's the next day going to be like? They say about 6 hours, and then then okay, it's going to be a little bit of a long one. Sometimes it's like 4.5 hours. You know, there are some shorter days, and then obviously base camp day and stuff like that. Summit day on Kilimanjaro.
How long, Dave?
That's a beast. I mean, depending on whether your nerves and your excitement lets you get any sleep, you can be up for well over 30 hours. But man, that's man, I love that.
Graham asked, how many pairs of socks to carry for EBC? Second day socks, not great, but 7th day, wow. Yeah. Well, mate, we've all been there. Those 7th day socks. Yeah. I usually take, you're trekking for about 11, 12 days. I usually take one for every other day, just to try and minimize the weight. So you're looking at sort of 5 to 6 pairs. Of socks. And I try and use. So I've always got say 2 or 3 that are the thickest ones I've got, the warmest ones, and I've also got then a step down, just because in the evenings as well. Sometimes I do like to get out, and although you might have used them say 4 or 5 days ago, they'll be the best you have, but you can air your feet a bit more walking around the tea houses or the villages instead of your thick thermal socks. So I say about 5, 6 pairs. But it's down to you. It's personal preference. I have seen people take because people who want to use one a day, and that's fine. Obviously, it's just going to be a little bit heavier, depending on the thickness. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, good answer. Yeah, I usually bring about the same. Same goes for pants as well. One thing I really recommend is the merino wool. So the merino wool, like Smart Wool or Icebreaker or Bridgedale socks. Same goes for the underpants. They're quite expensive, but they just last longer. After a day's trekking, they dry quick. They lose the smell quick. If you bring like just normal cotton ones and stuff like that, then my God.
No, it's good. There's heaps of options now. I've heard of bamboo underwear as well, which apparently is really good if you're big on chafing. If you get any dodgy chafe scenarios, we've all been there. And apparently these they're not cheap, but apparently they're really good. The bamboo underwear. I might even actually test them out soon.
Really, bamboo underwear? I haven't tried them yet.
Yeah, you should give it a look, mate. Right, guys. But there's just see if there's any more questions coming through. I know we've almost gone. Just one thing I noticed as well. Sinead's mentioned about she got the distances for each day on her trip, which is great. So definitely, if you're on Facebook, obviously if you're on Facebook, you're on Facebook now. But if you go onto the group, High Altitude EverTrekkers, and just a little search there, we'll bring up that. Also, as well, if you do go to our knowledge center and search if you just type in distances, we have actually got an article that has the daily distances on the Everest Base Camp route. So have a little look at that as well and give you an idea if you want to know the distance.
I think Brooke has a good blog about it as well, doesn't she? I can't remember the name of her blog. She's normally watching. Typically, this is probably the day she isn't. Brooke. Yeah.
Great stuff. Well, we've been almost an hour. Dave, anything else before we finish?
No, that's pretty much it. That's it. The only thing to mention again is, thanks to everybody that supported us with the jackets. We've had an amazing response. We've still got loads more. So if you do want a jacket, they're £100. All the profits go to the team in Nepal, the guides, the porters, to help support them, their families, their livelihoods, and make sure that they're in tip-top condition for when we go back there, because without those guys, we wouldn't have what we have. So we're very thankful to those guys. So please do. The links are all over our Facebook, our Instagram, and stuff like that. So if you can't afford it, and you're in the need for a jacket, it's a really good down jacket. It doesn't only keep you warm, it keeps your heart warm, because you're looking after the people that have looked after us and our customers.
Yeah, great stuff, Dave. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And I think Lauren's just posted the daily distances, the height gains on the Everest Base Camp trek. So nice one, Lauren. Great stuff. All right, well, we'll be back next week. If you have been part of the, because Brian there's not another competition this week. Although we'd love to do it every week.
Yeah.
Very good, Brian. Very good. But if you have entered the last competition, don't forget, if you have any runner-up prizes, things like that you want to use, you've still got another week to use that. So definitely get yourself in if you're looking to join us on any of our trips.
Yeah.
But as always, yeah, great live, Dave. And yeah, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Awesome, guys. All the best. Take care.
See ya.